Welcome. I'll call this meeting of the Pittsburgh Board of Commissioners to order, and we'll start with a moment of silence. Thank you. Commissioner Farrell, we leave the pledge of allegiance.
We have a rise to the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Next is the adoption of the agenda. I would like to add an item, action item number 1, for a discussion of the skate park. And if anyone else has any changes to the agenda or the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a couple things I'd like to talk about.
Okay, to remove from the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
That's possible, or just some questions without removing them. Tell me.
Let's pull which one's it?
Hold on, okay. The 2-7 Atlantic Coast contract.
Okay, we'll make that action item number 2.
And that's it.
Okay. Mr. Farrell?
I make a motion to send agenda. And include action number. No, I'm sorry. 2-7.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Vose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Commissioner Farrell, second. Commissioner Vose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, up next is a resolution recognizing Women's History Month. So I'll do that and then ask for a motion on it. So resolution recognizing Women's History Month. Whereas Women's History Month is observed nationally every March to recognize and celebrate the contributions of women to our society's advancement and well-being. Whereas this year's theme, Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, highlights the essential role women play in driving positive change and promoting fairness across all aspects of society. Whereas women from all walks of life, past and present, have contributed significantly to the cultural, political, economic, and social development of our communities. Whereas it is important to acknowledge and honor the perseverance and achievements of women as their efforts continue to inspire new generations to work towards a more inclusive and equitable world. Whereas recognizing Women's History Month encourages reflection on the ongoing struggle for gender equality and motivates our community to support and advance women's rights and opportunities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Pittsburgh recognizes the month of March 2024 as Women's History Month in the Town of Pittsburgh. We call upon all community members to celebrate the numerous contributions of women throughout history, to recognize the ongoing efforts of women today, and to continue working towards a future where everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed.
Okay, motion to adopt Women's History Month resolution.
Thank you. Second. Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, up next is citizens matters, and we will start with the manager's update.
Good evening, thank you, Mayor. Glad to be back. Appreciate the time off. We will start with just a couple of small things, and then we'll move into a presentation by Parks and Rec, and then a presentation of our assistant town manager, Ken Jackson, on the Sanford merger and some of the changes going on with that name. So just real quick, we did some paving and repair. Salisbury has been repaved. You've seen that. Park and Oakwood Drive has been repaired. That intersection was in really bad shape. We've got some updates on Creek Day, which is coming up. Let me pull that up real quick. The March 18th at 10 a.m. at Night Farm Park. There'll be some activities there. On the 19th at the Night Farm Community Park, Painted Fish is going on. It's also a Parks and Rec. And then Kiwanis Park, there'll be a water story time craft on the 21st at 9:30. So we'll have all that on the website. The couple of us will be attending Main Street Conference, and I think we've got some awards that we're presenting for downtown business owners. So we'll be there to support them, and support staff. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kate.
I'm Katie, I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. I wanted to give a little update on some of the new projects that we have going on right now. First up, we're going to start with McLean, and I'm not sure if anyone's driven by, but there's a lot of activity going on over there, specifically with the reconstruction of the courts. We're reconstructing 3 on the top tennis courts and 3 of the basketball courts on the bottom. Those are going to be completely reconstructed from the ground up, so we'll plug everything out, regrade it, and set everything back in. We're still going to have the tennis courts with the pickleball lines up top, and on the bottom, we are doing a little bit of a transition from the 3 basketball courts to 2 basketball courts, with the third being a smaller soccer field, hockey field. That will allow us to have some multi-use going on over there. We're also looking, if you see in the picture on the right, we are working with Chatham County right now on looking across the street for the baseball field that is right there and taking over that since it's within city limits, and then that small little area on the back side of it that could potentially be a site that we could use in the future for many different options. One, in thinking of maybe maintenance hub. All right, next, our skate park friends are back. Woo! I'm not going to go too much into this because I know that Tony has some things that he's going to be saying in the public comments. We are working with a nonprofit right now to talk about budgeting, site design, site location, all the fun things. We're looking really forward to this in the future. And again, Tony will be here in a little bit just to give a further update on that. Next, we have Rock Ridge, and our new replacement playground has been ordered. It's going to be coming later on this summer. One of the things that we really prioritize in replacing this playground piece specifically is Rock Ridge has a very natural atmosphere, and we wanted to keep in line with that. We wanted to just look and pivot a little bit more on some more long-term playground equipment, and also playground equipment for younger ages and older youth ages. Next is Community House. Yay! It's coming together. We have demoed the back half and new walls are up. Next, we are looking to order all of the fixtures for the interior and exterior. We're next in a month and a half or so, we are looking at tiling and more exterior focused while we wait on the fixtures to come in, including landscaping, the ramp, and all the fun things. So we're hoping May 2024 for reopening on that. Mary Hayes Barber Homes is getting a restroom. So this has been a couple of years in the works with Mr. Edwards Home donating, putting up half of the money as well in order to make this project to come to fruition. So that is looking at a later fall opening. Right now we're working on next steps for utility lines and footings for that. Kiwanis Park is next on our list, and these two places, through the Chatham County Parks and Recreation annual grant that we received from them, we were able to replace some much needed pieces, specifically the ant rockers and the original playhouse. And another thing that's going to be really great is that pour in place foamy material that everyone really loves is going in addition to that. So we're excited to get those guys out there. So Night Farm Dog Park, recently the Parks and Rec team has been exploring different ways to enhance the user experience and the basic usability of this particular amenity. Given the slope of the park, it limits on some of the options of how we can fix the draining problem, which has been very challenging. We've spoken to at least 3 different contractors on what our options are. And last month's parent meeting, the board members voted in support for the Parks and Rec team to work with a landscape architect firm to produce a plan to relocate the dog park in the field across the parking lot and provide options as to what to do with the previous space that could be utilized. So more information will be coming on that in the future. Moncure Road, as a recap, in December 2022, that was the 52 acres that we received from the Child Park Development in the form of a land donation. This past month, staff posted an RFQ that is the first step in this process of designing the future park. The RFQ is going to focus on engaging and gaining public input on what amenities are needed throughout town, and specifically can go in there, design concepts and cost estimates. So the deadline for this middle has recently ended, so we're going to move to the next phase of reviewing what those proposals look like. The pop-up park, the playground has been ordered. The stage that we previously purchased is getting some electrical work finished. And we originally had some more permanent bathroom structures in there, and we pivoted to a portable restrooms in the form of a trailer. This is not only more cost effective, but it's also going to allow us more opportunities for the restroom to provide restrooms elsewhere during events such as Christmas parade or other things that we need to do that at other park locations. Town Lake Pollinator Gardens, our department staff has been hard at work these past couple of weeks and not only getting ready for spring preparations, but also we had an idea for providing pollinator gardens at Town Lake. There was a specific spot that we feel like would be great, and this is going to be a phase 1 for these above ground gardens, and the phase 2 has been in discussion of butterfly TVs in the surrounding area. So one of the things that we're offering is a Pick a Flower Day, which is going to be tomorrow. Mara, our rec coordinator, is overseeing that program, and they're going to allow some little mini gardeners to come in, and we had a couple of registrations signed up so that we can get this planted and hopefully move forward in the future having a pollinator garden. And last but not least, the program's 2023 review, and this past year, the total number of programs has been 21 programs over 5 parks, and the total number of participants that we have reached is 496. That's right around 10% of our population, which compared to a lot of the national standards that people play, it's been pretty great. So we're really excited and really proud of our team that's been able to give as much outreach and impact as they have in such a small amount of time. And that's it. Anyone have any questions?
In town park, if we got that issue with valves straightened out,
Old Town Lake.
down like, yeah.
We are waiting for, we got a bid, the bid's been approved, and we are in a much lower than what we thought. But we're waiting on that to schedule.
I'm not sure that is the problem at the lake. Allow that part of the water fluctuate.
We believe that's what it is, but they're gonna have to dive in and check it out. So the fee is for the diver to go in, and the fee also includes the diver to fix it if that is a problem. So it's a bit of a coin flip at this point, but we're just waiting to schedule the diver to check it out. Yes, sir.
Great.
That was great.
Commissioner Farrell, were you asking about town lake park, or were you asking about the port?
No, the town one. So we had issues with that water level.
We have the divers at both the water tank and the lake.
The divers for town lake, but that has to us schedule. The water tank, I think, is something.
Is that a leak that or?
Perfect thing is, the man with the answer is that. You want to get a quick response back? Real quick?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, Mayor. So with the port tank, yes, there is a leak that's been, chronic leak on the, drain line valve. So we have a couple things planned for that tank in the coming months. The first one is to fix that leak. And we're putting a plan together to do that the week of spring break. I think that would be a 3 to 4 day project. Then in June, after school is out, we also need to descale the interior of the tank. And so we're also working on a plan to do that. So those are a couple activities. So anyways, talking about the merger and the latest developments. So we do have some exciting developments related to the utility merger with City of Sanford. Remember, we entered the agreement to merge regionalize our utilities last August, and we have been working on transition in that time period. So one of the top priorities was to study an organization, both the people and the living organization that would be a merged organization that would also be integrated. So, exciting development recently, Sanford engaged Harbor Creative to develop a new brand for the merged regional utility. We got these materials on February 22nd, a meeting with the City of Sanford, and they have implementation activities planned starting middle of this month and continuing forward. At this stage, it is I would call it a DBA. It'll be doing business as Tri-River Water. That is the name of the new brand name for the regional utility for City of Sanford and the town of Pittsburgh. One of the significant things about Tri-River Water is in the logo that you see. The logo is a reflection of the convergence of the three rivers, the Hall, the Deep, and the Cape Fear. That really is the central focus of the basin for the Tri-River merged utility. This course will have brand materials, it will have informational and promotional activities that will be, as I said, initiated in mid-March and continuing until there is good public awareness. Foley has had some initial conversations with City of Sanford's public information department, as well as I've had some conversations with Big Czar with the City of Sanford. So, this is an exciting development. I think on the upside of this, it provides the opportunity to create at least a new on-service identity for the regional utility that we can engage and Sanford can engage with Pittsburgh water and sewer customers in the same manner and at the same time as they are engaging with the City of Sanford utility customers. So from that standpoint, I think it is a very positive development. As I said, the mid-March is we're right on the precipice of when the promotional activities are going to begin primarily from the city of Sanford, but we will continue to have, close involvement and participation in this new effort as well. So, that was what I wanted to update you with for this evening. I think you had materials in your packet that kind of give you some of the visual information, the logo. If you would move through some of those, maybe one more slide down. One more. So you can see that, one of the key features of this is the archetype, which basically that is saying what is the personality of this new brand going to be. And so it's kind of framed around these 5 kind of guiding principles: to be friendly, to be honest, to be practical, to be caring, and to be professional. But I think if we're able to do all those things, we'll have a very successful regional utility. So with that, I'm happy to answer any brief questions that you might have. Otherwise, we'll be providing more information as it becomes available.
Any questions? Thank you, Ken. Okay, next up is Mayor and Commissioner reports. I will start with mine. On February 15th, so just after our last meeting, had a press conference with Attorney General Stein and Representative Robert Reeves at our water plant, highlighting the legal action that we're taking against upstream polluters and just kind of the ongoing efforts at our water plant there. So really proud of our staff and all that they do for our water quality. Glad to highlight that on a larger stage. Attended the economic development meeting on February 21st. I had a EPA subcommittee meeting on the 28th that was specifically about PFAS. So it was good to connect with others around the country who are dealing with the same and very similar issues that we are, and how the EPA is working to regulate that and what it means, particularly financially for small communities like ours. So grateful to be involved there. And on February 29th, I attended the annual meeting of the Chatham Chamber, and I am, I think by default, taking on that representative spot there. So, but that was a good event, and the Target Traveler was there. It was really interesting to hear in person as well. This week I'll be attending the Main Street Conference, and excited about all that we do in our community for that. And then on March 27th, I'll attend the Town and State Dinner with some of our state representatives in Southern Alliance. Very involved.
Thank you very much. I attended the executive committee meeting for Central Regional Pines, which used to be Triangle J Council of Governments. I attended that on February 28th, 2024, and at that particular meeting, they presented the audit to us, and of course, Triangle J's audit just like anyone else. So, and that audit was acceptable. The other things we went over was the foreign trade zone, which the Triangle J is sort of responsible. We vote on whether companies can be part of the foreign trade zone. And for those who don't know, that is an organization which, of course, the Triangle J delegates vote as to whether they're going to be, those companies want to be accepted under the foreign trade zone. There are special things in which, if you are voted into that, you are allowed companies to save money on duties, which a lot of things are imported, they save money on duties, merchandise processing fees, and things such as that. So at that time, there were 3 companies that presented to us wanting to be part or considered as members of the foreign trade zones, and one of those included Bidfast. So that is about all that we covered at that particular meeting. The other thing, one more thing that we did cover was that Town of Chapel Hill wanted to have a representative there at the Triangle J because their usual meetings, their city meetings are on the same day as the Triangle J meeting, as the Central Pines regional meetings. So We did vote to send that to the full delegates so that they can decide whether or not, yes, this one, we will allow them to come in and participate. But, you know, Triangle J is actually, rather Central Pines is an open meeting, so anyone can attend. But this individual they wanted a representative in addition to the representative from the city of Chapel. So that will go before the full board of governors. And so that was just, again, just about all that we reviewed that particular meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bonitz?
Yes, it was January 24th that I attended the Central Pines Regional Council ribbon cutting. It was a very nice event and lovely facilities. And I think I've already mentioned to this board that if any of us have need of office space at their newly renovated offices over there in the Research Triangle Park, we're near Research Triangle Park, Durham. We are welcome to pop in. I've already used it twice. I also attended the County Climate Change Advisory Committee meeting on February 22nd. Nothing substantial to report from that, other than continued briefings on the Duke Energy proposed, the new proposal at the Utility Commission, which is getting significant critical commentary. And if anybody's interested in further conversations on that, I'm very happy to provide that. I have noted that the Chatham County Transportation Advisory Committee has a liaison position for the town of Pittsburgh, which is currently occupied in name by a lapsed commissioner. Electoral changes here in Pittsburgh have transitioned that person out. And I'd like to be considered for that, but if that's something other commissioners are eager to participate in, that committee seems to be inactive, but rumors that I've heard are that the Chatham County staff liaison position was vacant, and so they have recently filled that position, is what I've heard. Is that what you've also heard? Mr. Foley, do you have an interest in that?
I do. I think it ties in really well for, which is my champion. So I would definitely volunteer. Okay, revitalize it. It's really difficult to get the work.
Mr. Foley, I'll defer to you on that, and to the wisdom of the board. And I would just ask to be the backup person for that.
Shelby?
That's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Do you need a motion for that?
I would check with the committee first, make sure they're going to reactivate that, and then probably put that on the next.
Commissioner Hurd?
PVA, I believe they meet this, March the 13th, I believe, so I'll be there on Tuesday morning. Right? So,
Thank you. Commissioner Foley?
From the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee for the county, I have one update. Third wave was awarded. I don't have the exact number, about $70,000 to maintain their operations. They do have 2 affordable housing units in the county. One is in Silo City, and one is here at the retreat in Pittsburgh. And so our efforts help them maintain over 100 affordable homes. So we voted to appropriate some money for that. As an aside, also, I'm a real estate agent, And I do have a housing report that comes out that I'd love to share with interested people. And I think it might be a good thing, just throw some stats every week, every month, so that we see where the housing is going, what is it selling. So I'm gonna update for the month of February. There were only 62 sales in Chatham County, 62. The average price per home in Chatham County was $461,000. And that is an increase of 28%. Overall, the state of North Carolina, the median sales price for a home is $310,000, and that's an increase of 10%. So you can see that just comparing apples to apples, we're growing a little bit faster. If you'd like, I can provide these stats every month. Yeah, so you see where we're headed.
Commissioner Foley, was that a year-over-year increase?
Yes. And that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Vose.
On Thursday the 15th, I also attended Mr. Reed's and Attorney General Stein's press conference at the water treatment facility. I just want to echo the congratulations on the great work that we're doing here. Last Tuesday, I made it to a downtown advisory board meeting. And just as a reminder, save the date, Flag Fest is happening Sunday, April 14th, right here on the show.
Thank you. All right, up next is public comment. So please state your name and address at the start of your comments. There's a time limit of 3 minutes, which will be displayed on the screen. In the interest of time and fairness, it is the board's policy not to respond directly to comments during this period. Staff will follow up as appropriate. So we'll start with Tony and then go to Kelly.
Mayor, real quick, I'd ask for a few moments for us to just put in some more chairs, it gets a bit more.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a reminder, we did add an item later to discuss the skate park as well.
Maybe should we need more time?
Put some chairs out.
Well,
Sorry about that.
Just do 3 rows, 3 times.
3 minutes uninterrupted.
Thanks, sir.
Tommy Saba for the Pittsburgh Skate Park. And I'm here to give you an update from when I last spoke to you in February of 2023. So at that time, the Pittsburgh Skate Park had $80,000 on hand. And I said, with the approval of the skate park, I would donate an additional $25,000. So towards the end of December, I was contacted by the town and said, we're going to be moving forward with the skate park. So, I'm a man of my word, and here's my check for $25,000. With that being said, in January, I reached back out to Artisan Skate Park, who did the original design on the skate park back in 2013. And the original cost was going to be around $400,000. With inflation, it would be about $470,000. The design that you have in front of you is 100 feet by 40 feet with a cost of $236,000. So we decided to scale back on both cost and design. All right. And with that, Artisan can start this project in November with hopes of completing this year. So, since the start of the new year, we have received $95,000 in pledge supports from individuals, bringing our total to $200,000. Now, if we could get to $300,000 or more, we can make a bigger park. The current design is $236,000. And right now, we're sitting at $200,000 with tech pledge support. Love to make it a little bigger, just add some more elements, make it more interesting. Like I said, we are a 501c3, and it is common that municipalities contribute a half, 75, 100% of skate parks. Right now, we're sitting at $200,000, and I'm here to ask for a third of $300,000. So with $100,000, we could get $300,000, and Pittsburgh would have an awesome skate park. I've got 50 seconds, if anyone wants to. Like I said, since January, we have raised $95,000 in pledge support. And with the support of the town, we can then go out to businesses and leverage that. We can lean in and use that to get more money so that we can build a great skate park. And that's what, business owners want to see, because we've been talking to certain businesses and they ask, where's the town support? So we're here tonight to ask for a third of 300,000. We'll take 25% of 236,000. Yeah.
Thank you. Up next is Kelly Fuller with Nehemiah.
Thank you. I don't have any checks to give you, I'm sorry, but I'm here to ask you to give from the town. I'm speaking on behalf of my daughter, Katie Fuller. She's living out of state right now. But she's a Northwood graduate, class of 2019. Growing up in Pittsburgh, I vividly remember the frustration of having limited options for outdoor hangouts with friends. As teenagers, we often found ourselves aimlessly driving around or lurking in odd corners simply because there were no proper places to gather. But imagine if we had a vibrant skate park in our community back then. It would have been a game changer, a dynamic hub where people of all ages could come together, fostering connections and camaraderie. Instead of wandering around aimlessly or idling away our time in unproductive ways, we would have had a constructive outlet right in our own backyard. Let's face it, boredom can lead to trouble, but a skate park isn't just another playground. It's a vital third space that welcomes everyone, especially those vulnerable to falling into negative patterns. By providing our kids and teens with a thrilling alternative to boredom, we're not only giving them something fun to do, but also steering them away from potential pitfalls. So let's invest in our community's future. Let's give our young people a safe, exciting place to thrive. A vote for the skate park, or money for the skate park, is for empowerment, unity, and a brighter tomorrow for Pittsburgh. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Nehemiah and Alex after that.
Hello, my name is Nehemiah. I'm here today with the privilege to share my story and explain how it impacts the matter of building a skate park in Pittsburgh. I'm 13 and I've been riding skater for a little over a year now, and I enjoy filming myself ride skater and posting my clips to social media. And I've also been able to build a lot of friendships digitally and in real life through action sports and scootering. And I believe that with scooter and action sports in general, it'll be able to build a community for Chatham County and Pittsburgh as a whole. I also believe that it'll put Chatham County on the map with people like myself and multiple others in this community posting about the skate park on the internet, being able to bring traction to Pittsburgh and attract more people. And I can personally assure you that having a skate park will grow a community full of friendship and take it to the next level. Thank you so much.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name's Alex Protzman. My wife and I live in Bynum. I'm from the area. I grew up in Chapel Hill. We've lived in Chatham for about 12 years now. I've been a skateboarder for about 35 years. It has kind of defined who I am. And I want to kind of share with you, and I've been a part of this process since the beginning, the original fundraisers and all of that. I want to share with you kind of the unique opportunity that you have to build a skate park in downtown Pittsburgh. It's a choice location. And if you think about kind of equity inclusion in the physical sense, kids from all over Pittsburgh can get to that park on sidewalks, on the street, on their bikes, on their scooters, on their skateboards. So the location is perfect. And there are more and more homes going up that will have access to the skate park. So I think it's an amazing opportunity, and it's an amazing opportunity because we're also handing you 2/3 of the money to get it done. Now, Tony wasn't kidding when most municipalities around here are footing most of the bill, right? Apex, 100% or 75%. Chapel Hill's building a new park. So I really think, I'm hoping that Pittsburgh steps up and does the right thing. Okay, that's it, thanks.
That was all we had signed up. Is there anyone else that was not signed up that would like to speak? Thank you. Oh, please say your name and address.
My name is John Reyes. My name is John Reyes. I didn't have anything prepped. I didn't know I had my name down, but I am a professional scooter rider who was here from New York 3 years ago. It's really important to have a skate park. A skate park is a good place for people to express who they really are. For me, I've been riding a scooter for 22 years now. And because of the scooter, I was able to use Chapel Hill, scooter paid gas. So that's kind of just to prove to that not only is it a place where people can just hang out, not really just have fun, but also a place to be professional. And I think it's a place, an opportunity for you guys to work with big brands. I have connections with people that pay me to advertise through me, and kind of welcoming those kind of people to your town, I think is important. And it's more eyes. That's kind of why everybody's here today. I want some more eyes in baseball. It's going to happen at the end of the day. I think it's just another avenue where you guys could probably work with brands that you would never work with when you not do the skate park. The skate park allows you to kind of work with those fun brands, the more colorful kind of brands. And that's just a good example. I'm an example. So really it's this way I can help too, just with noise and media. So it's a following for over 2 million subscribers now, 2 million followers on all platforms. So if there's anything that I can help, you might have definitely said that to me is a little more prepped, but I mean, he's the future. So if you can help him out, that'd be awesome.
Thank you. Anyone? Yeah. If you can say your name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Cassandra Brazier. My address is 125 Hill Road in Pittsburgh. Again, I wasn't even planning on saying anything, but as I was walking in and talking to a bunch of my friends, I literally just left 2 of my children at my house who are skateboarding. We have a skate ramp in our house. We have a concrete slab, but most of the time my kids want to go to an established skate park. So over the years, we've gone to Chapel Hill, we've gone to Apex, we've gone to Cary, and we've taken other children with us to do that. We've taken our money to do that because we end up buying lunch, or we take our kids out and get snacks on the way. We're also a small business owner. We own a home repair business here in Pittsburgh, and we've been here for almost 15 years. And we too were supporters when the first action of the skate park came out. I still have all the merchandise from that, and we were really excited. And that was back when my son was probably 5. So we have a 14-year-old and a 7-year-old that skate. My husband and I were both skateboarders as well. And we were literally just skateboarding yesterday in our front yard, but really would like a place here in Pittsburgh that is safe, right next to the sheriff's office, right next to the schools. And a place where we don't have to travel outside of the county to do that. So
Hopefully this time around, we can get that accomplished. Thank you.
Up next on the agenda, we have a public hearing. Sure, yeah.
Hey, sorry, I'm speaking. My name is Georgia, and, this skate park thing is a wonderful idea. And the reason, one of the main reasons I want to talk to you about it, because, we have a little bunch of kids, we have playgrounds, we have a lot of stuff for their age, but what do we have for our teenagers? Where do our teenagers go? They get suspended from school for something little, and what do they do in that free time? I also know that a lot of my son's friends, where they don't have parents or grandparents that can take them to Cary or to Chapel Hill or somewhere else. So what are they doing that time? They're gonna do other stupid stuff, right? Because they don't have anything else to do. So I really think that it's very important to really think about it. We really need to do something for our teenagers in Pittsburgh. There's no transportation that can take them to other places, so a skate park would be a really nice area where, they can come together, they can, spend time, make fun to make, stay out of trouble. So, I hope you guys are doing this transformation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
To the group, thank you everybody for being here.
Let's just.
Okay.
So up next, we had a public hearing for UDO text amendments, which I'm sure is very interesting to all of you. I'm wondering if the board would like to take these items out of order and take action item number 1, a discussion on the skate park next. So, Commissioner Vose. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. All right. We shall have a discussion on the skate park.
I'll just mention to the group here that, I think you'll find that this board is behind you guys 100%. My question is, being here in Pittsburgh all my life, has anybody spoken to our local concrete contractors? That we have 3 businesses here in town, hopefully, construction business right now is booming. Tax deductions for given materials is a little better than labor, but, no good with that or anything, Tony?
I've spoken to Bob Chandler. Back in 2015, as we could ever get going, if you're willing to donate some concrete. So 125 by 40 is 200 cubic yards of concrete. So, I mean, I was waiting for town support, see if we get any town support, and then I finally go back to Chandler Concrete and ask him for whatever he can donate. But yes, I have dialogue with Bob Chandler.
And
the vice president.
what would that cut this cost down to if the concrete was donated or X amount was?
I think you're looking at roughly $200 cubic yard. Concrete. So, I mean, maybe the cost all in is only, 20, 30,000, I don't know. But you can cut it down significantly. Absolutely, their cost will be very. So, from my perspective, it would be great to be able to go to the ownership of Chandler Concrete and ask for support if they see the city of Pittsburgh behind it. Makes my job as a salesman easier.
Right.
Who's concrete is it? 200 cubic yards for the 120 by 40. Shoot for the moon.
That was a 120 by 40, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And your concept C was 100 feet by 35? By 40. I mean, I haven't asked, pillar / artisan to go back and do the design. I just know there's more space and it's roughly like we talked, Jonathan, you were right on it. It's gonna increase it. If we went 25 feet, we're at 300,000. You and I spoke what that cost is, but pretty much spot on. The 125 is 300,000. Yeah, like you asked, that's what it gets you. You confirm that everything's possible. I would add, if I can, that if I don't have the picture on me, but one side of the skate park is basically just straight, there's no ramps or anything. That extra, that up to 300, we would be able to kind of pull that in. So in kind of skateboarding terms, it would create a better flow throughout the park, right? Versus having a kind of dead stop on one end. You could do 4 corners instead of 2 corners.
Safer.
And it would be extended to make, right, for, you know, there's more space between the gaps and the quarter posts. And with, you know, with only 40 feet, it's a really good back and forth concept, right? Versus like Apex or Chapel Hill that's wide and long. This gives us, you know, what we can do in our space.
Why is it safer?
You said it too, you said going back and forth, right? Say, you and I on each end of the skate park, we both want to go, we're going toward each other, versus if it's one, we can go in a circle, we can still go at the same time, and never even have to cross path, and have more of a share of the space.
Can you stand up for us, please? Is that your?
If y'all can come up so we can, everybody can hear you, to the mic, Tony too, if you don't mind. And when they have questions for you, everybody can hear what you're saying.
You come here alone, you might?
Excuse?
Did you come here alone?
Oh, no.
That's your mom?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think you're a pretty cool guy.
Thank you.
You're 13 years old, you're standing up in front of us. I gotta give you a lot of props for that. I do have one question for you. Where do you go now? If you want to do skate.
Oh,
Scooters.
right now, I'm focusing on like a new style of scootering, flatline scootering. It's pretty new. There's not too many people doing it. Nowadays, it's one of the main guys doing it. And so that one of the main reasons I do that is because of the lack of a skateboard. It makes it easier to progress with riding without a skate park, or at least without a skate park like close to the area. So that's how I ride.
Okay.
So you can use sidewalks, things, or wherever you can.
Yeah, kind of have scooter service.
Covered spot for that. You can tell us straight, that's where we're going. There's a bathroom in the community, and then just put awning and just a side concrete, and we all roll it.
Thank you.
Any more questions for me?
I was concept, see, this is the concept that we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Is it 40 by 120?
Yeah, and I apologize. On the screen and my printer didn't print it out. What we're talking about in that concept is stretching it 25 feet, so there's more space between those elements in the center, so it's like boxes and pyramids. And then on the other side that's open, you would have additional corners. So that.
All the way across.
Well, no, you'd still be open on the side, you just have. Right here. See how you have that corner? You have a corner kind of here, but you still have this, so that you have drainage, right? And then you have a corner here and here, so that you can, crisscross and stuff. Right. More use of it. Yeah, still dig down. And to that point, Jonathan asked me today, the owner of Artisan Skate Park, they're currently building one in Surf City. And he's gonna come out here, just go over the site, answer questions towards the end of this month of April, because they're from North Carolina, but they're local, they're doing a project, which is good, because he hasn't been out here since 2013 to look at the site.
Yes, staff is actively engaged with Tony and others and trying to figure this thing out. Our concern is how small the space is, and then making sure whatever we put in there is gonna be best for that space. So then in the future, if we wanna build a larger one like Apex, I believe Apex is 2 acres. It's much larger than.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, that parking's fair, so 2 acres, it's a big skate park.
So that type of skate park is not gonna fit, and this is a small sliver. So making sure we do what's best for that piece, along with all the other plans for this park, including bathrooms and shelter, which would also have to go on this piece of property in that L shape. If you know the plan, you know what I'm talking about. So that's it.
And, and if we could get a little bigger park, it's gonna be skated, it's gonna be utilized, so then, in the Grand Park that Katie showed earlier, there's gonna be so much support that, what's wrong with having 2 skate parks? We've got towns with multiple basketball, tennis courts, and, whatever, so it's not gonna hurt the town, it's only gonna help the town. Alex's point about the location serves the community.
So I appreciate everyone being here tonight, all the community support throughout the county and beyond of this park. And I think one thing that's critical for us to do as we move forward is have an agreement of exactly what we're all working towards, so we all work together. So I would like if our staff can work with y'all and come up with a formal agreement in terms of who's doing what and what we're all working towards. So we can do that and make sure we have it going forward, because I think that's caused some of the unintentional confusion through this process. But I think that especially as we are headed into construction, that's really critical for us to do. So I'd like to see that if we can do it back in April, an agreement with your organization to sort of divide and conquer on this effort. And I think I'll leave you with that.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Mayor. Tony, I'm sorry you left the podium, but I'm curious to ask a couple more questions about Concept C. Does that design run all the way to the northern property boundary, or is there a buffer there?
I'm bringing my property manager.
It's not, it goes back to if we get the full 125, 130 feet, then we're going back to the corner where the basketball goals stop. And on the front side, we're not going that far, because the basketball courts are, I think, 161 feet, and we're only going 125, so you've got some extra space there for whatever that space needs to be with bathrooms and shelter.
Okay, but I'm thinking to the north.
You mean is the north to the
Sheriff's office
side?
Yeah,
It doesn't
towards
go to the
West
side.
Street.
No.
It doesn't, it goes, I think there's about 4 to 5 feet of drop off there. And they said because the way it was backfilled, that won't be an issue. They've been to the site before, the design building has been there before, they've done borings.
Yeah.
So
If you go too far north, you're likely to fill up with water in the big house. You gotta keep it far enough.
And you understood the dimensions when I emailed you about like how far he's gonna be off the basketball court and how far he wants to go down and allow for drainage versus building a retaining wall, where he said we have to eliminate dirt, have a place to get rid of dirt. Right.
And so when you talk about stretching it, you're talking about stretching east and west rather than to the east and the south.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's possible when it comes back out, they can stretch it a little more, but I'm sure it's limited to what they can do on that, okay?
Yeah. Because our relations with the county, oh, wait, let me back up a minute. Alex Crossman, thank you so much for speaking to the merits of this specific location. The more I've learned about this issue, because I didn't grow up skating, but I hung out with skaters in high school and a little bit in college. I view skating as a different form of mobility. It's a way to get around. It's not just a way to get around. Obviously, it's an athletic endeavor and an admirable artistic pursuit, I think. But I'm excited about this location because of its urban centeredness, because you don't have to get in a car to go there. And it hadn't occurred to me that needed to be articulated. It was just always evident to me. But it's for that reason that I think there's such a strong public good for it to be there. And I very much, acknowledge staff's opinion on the use of public funds, but I think that this is a very strong public good. And, I agree. I've written it before Mr. Brosnan said it, but I said downtown is the perfect location for this skate park. In future, a second skate park would be great. I've heard, perhaps Julie, you suggested that this might be a little bit less ambitious or aggressive. Younger kids might get their start on this downtown park. Older kids will be respectful of the younger kids learning, and then the more aggressive and ambitious park can be designed, perhaps at Pittsburgh Moncure Road.
Meaning if they want a big bowl or something like that, yeah, something that we can't fit on this space, but, and the older and the younger people at the skate park, it is amazing to see them working together. Like if you spend any time at a skate park, yeah, it's awesome, and it's so much camaraderie, and just everybody is for everybody else. It's not a competitive thing, it's, yeah.
It's designed to be like primarily 4 foot high quarter pipes. With the ledges and the rails and the pyramids and hips, it's still gonna lend itself to advanced professional level skating, guys that, or shooting for that matter, but it's still gonna lend itself for coming off. Right, for street skates.
So this won't be a key park. It'll be a serious park.
Skateboarding's all inclusive, but the kid was saying, it's all ages, all gender, we touched about that last year a lot. It brings people together, right? I mean, friendships, 25, 30 years, go back.
So this is for scooters and skateboarders, that's what you're saying.
I mean, scooters use skate parks nowadays, so scooters would be using it as well.
I do know 2 scooters.
Okay. I'm sure scooters are actively pushing communities for skate parks as well, right? Not just here, but.
Did that in New York, I used to live in New York. Yeah. We were doing it for years, and now it's a place to hold events, which is a big success.
Yeah, so yes, we have scooters using skate parks as well. And I did forget to mention, I did talk to Chatham Parks, and they said right now they don't have any current funding. But they did say they have resources, like they initially pledged $5,000 in landscape support. So they said they'd be willing to donate their resources, meaning they have a landscape company. So maybe that number goes up. They'd be willing to help landscape the area after that. Or she said whatever they have that can help, I guess. So, as we figure out the material list, if we get to that point of approval, then I could leverage that as well. And I had that conversation 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
We regularly say that our budget is a reflection of our values, and with that in mind, I would like to make a motion for the town to cover 15% or match up to 15% of $300,000, for a total of $45,000, or a maximum of $45,000.
Second that. Any other discussion on that motion?
Why 15%?
Yes.
So again,
50?
5-0.
Oh.
There's a second for 15%. If it would be better.
Yeah, please.
Yes, let them negotiate. Yeah. If it goes beyond 15%, if it go beyond 15%, in that way, that if you can, go on, do this, and then we can go beyond that, I would say we should go beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing, so I've got to look at the budget.
Yes.
Figure that out.
Yes.
I think we could do 45,000 without any problem. We've got that in savings just on the basketball court and tennis courts alone. One of the issues, and it should stay in terms of how this process has gotten to a skate park that's pretty much dead, that no one's talking about, to the point where you're willing to put 45,000 to it, or at least two members are, is we began talking about a small piece of concrete with a couple ramps as a way to get this going, to then focus on a larger skate park at one Pittsburgh Red site. Once there was interest in this, what the nonprofit wanted to do kept changing and kept growing and kept changing. So my concern is, or what I would like is for us to put something on paper, agree to it. If the nonprofit is willing to do that, and then move forward. The amount of money given by the town or the amount of money raised by volunteers continues to grow. You know, a $500,000 skate park on this site just will not work. So I think we really need to put down on this, in this agreement, the parameters of what we're gonna do, how much it's gonna cost, what the design looks like, et cetera. And we won't know a lot of that until they come in April, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Tony and I talked about this, just kind of going back and forth on what it is that we're trying to do. But what I'd like to know is what this thing is really gonna cost. Because I don't know if that price includes the engineering, you know, we mentioned landscaping. Are there gonna be drainage issues with that, you know, drainage area that runs down behind it? You've got about 40 feet from the basketball court to that kind of, we'll call it creek. The original design that we looked at was 35 feet wide. This was the kind of hard part. And now we're at 40 feet. I'm not sure how 40 feet is gonna work on that site, because you're gonna need a buffer in between the skate park and the basketball court. We're gonna run into issues there, especially if you got 4 feet drop. So we have priced out fences for the basketball court. So we've got to work that in the budget as well. So there's just a lot of things that we need to work on. But if the board is willing to commit to 15%, I can tell you I can make that work right now. And then we can see what the skate park is going to look like when the designers are here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And how much are you raise? Sorry.
Well, we have 105,000. Budget towards it, 95,000.
So 45 like this there. At that 300, because the 125 works lengthwise, so we've got 163 feet of basketball court. We want to retain some space to build some type of shelter. Obviously, if you're out there skating all day, you're going to want shelter for 500 hour. So that's what I can commit to right now. Is we can easily do 45,000. Going to 100, I don't know if that's currently in the budget for the money. I think you got to move money out of another part where you commit funds. If that's what you want to do, we can go look at it, work out. But in terms of plan, 70 is probably it, and that's pushing. And that's if we don't run into problems while we're redoing the tennis and basketball. I know I probably created more questions than answers.
No, I want to affirm, Jonathan, what you said, because it's I think it's really important for public to understand the bigger context here, that there is a need for a shelter, there's a need for a bathroom facility, there's a need for fencing there. I mean, because I think about utilizing this skate park where you're just spending time there, we wouldn't want balls coming over from the ball court.
Or skaters flying into basketball.
Yeah, although that's kind of no, but yeah, and we probably want to do something, you know, not just chain link fence, but something that's adds to the wonderful weirdness that is Pittsburgh.
I don't think Kate believes in chain link fences.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't imagine she did. So. Yeah, there's a bigger context here, and I very much appreciate staff's comments on budget. And I made the second, and I'm willing to still stand behind the motion. However, I would prefer that we empower staff to figure out the budgets and bring back a proposal to our April budget retreat. Is that what it is?
Well, that's a budget retreat, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe for a modification this evening, we say that staff come to an agreement with the Pittsburgh Skate Park nonprofit on size, scope, location, you know, all of these things are up in the air right now. And that would us get to cost as well. But I think this evening we could still commit to 15% match up to a $300,000 project cost. So that there's some certainty there too, and like you said, as you go and talk to others, the town has committed to support this project. And then in our April regular meeting, we could have that agreement in terms of lockdown in a written way of exactly what everyone's working towards. We get here, and then in our budget retreat, we could see the whole scope of all of the park money and the projects and other parks.
Okay, so the deadline that we're working towards is actually April. And for greater definition, greater clarity on the arrangements, and a more precise budget figure.
Yeah, because if you want to make it more specific, you can say for this fiscal year, like the commitment would be for this fiscal year, right? Because you're going into the new fiscal year very soon. And I believe the skate park designers and builders are available November 1st. So we want to make sure we lock down cost, what's going to look like prior to probably the end of September, I would think. That way we know what we're working with the skate park builders. And then you could potentially put something, I believe Katie actually already has 50,000 in her preliminary budget for 20. So if you did the 15% of 300,000, you could make that for this fiscal year 2024. And then work with the budget process to try to see if you can't participate more in 24.
The staff, your staff, our staff, is, I know, working very hard with this. I know this has been a long birth, a long gestation period. And we started talking about the skate park. How long ago? 8 years ago. Oh, wow. Well, and the message is clear that it's needed. The message we're making is that we are willing to help. And I would be willing to vote today for 15% and then readdress it for the following budget year. Yeah. If that's the motion,
Let's dispense with this motion. Unless you'd like to ask for a friendly amendment.
That's for a friendly amendment to consider budgeting further for 2025.
Motion for budget.
Now, this is a motion for staff action.
Staff action.
Commissioner Vose,
This is for agreement.
I think it started out with an agreement.
Yes,
It's migrated a bit.
let me try and restate. Why don't you withdraw?
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Okay. I would suggest a motion to, for the Pittsburgh Skate Park nonprofit to come to an agreement with town about the project scope and size and cost and the necessary parameters to complete the project. And then that the town would match 15% of funds raised up to a $300,000 project cost from this fiscal year's budget.
So, second.
Thank you. Commissioner Vose, Commissioner Farrell, any further discussion?
Any point of clarity, when you want that agreement for April?
Yes.
Any chance I get you to push it in May?
Would-
That way it gives the opportunity for the designer and builder to come in and give us a good look.
I think that's, yeah, just students, so we all know what we're doing, but whatever is, it's,
yeah, the only reason I was suggesting April is because I
Sam's trying to take it, so that's fine.
envision next 4.5 budget. But we all want to move faster than that, apparently, so.
We'll get you something.
by May.
Have an organization.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is UDO parking lot amendments. All right. Just a second. Up next is, all right, up next is a public hearing for a text amendment, CTA 2021 Unified Development Ordinance. And I'll take a motion to go into public hearing. Second. All right.
For our quarter 1.8, for the city plan, we are just going to questions. So at this time, are there any questions or?
It's not so much a question as a request that, item number 12, remove requirement for community view for, general use zoning, that we pull that one from this list.
You maintain the requirement for a public need for general reason?
Yes.
Any issue with that?
I have a big 25,000 height view question. So, when we do text amendments, and I might be speaking to the whole staff. I do recall that some of the text amendment, some of the UDO just wasn't being used appropriately. It was out of date, and this is that's what we're doing is tweak. How do we guarantee that the tweaks are going to be vital? Who's in charge of making sure that people that need notify?
I think you asked two questions, so I just want to clarify. You're asking how do we know that our changes are going to stay like up to date or like bring the code
That's
up to
one
date?
question, yeah.
Okay, and the second question is how are we notifying people? Okay, so the first question is when we go to do text amendments, we research the area. So we have looked at, there's I think 13 amendments in here. So for ladies, we've looked at 20 to 30, maybe more, different municipalities around us. We looked at their UDOs. And so we take ideas from other places, and that's kind of how we keep it current. And then with the noticing to people, we are required to follow the North Carolina statutes, which Randy has more knowledge on that, so I would yield to my planning director for that.
Put the microphone up towards you. Sorry, what was the question? Pull the microphone up towards you.
How's that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so when someone comes in to either amend the map or amend the text of the UDO, this is the actual request of it. Text amendment or making a map amendment. Under general statutes, we are certainly required to notify people in a number of ways. We have an ad, we run in the paper, we send direct mail to individual addresses, which by the way is the most effective way to get public feedback, and I want to elaborate on that in just a second. And then, of course, there's the matter of planning board, of course, holds a, it's not a hearing, it's more of meeting where it's discussed. It's very much like this, except at the end, all they're actually doing is a recommendation to either approve or recommend disapproval based on the land use plan and some other things. And then, of course, there's this, in which there's another, there's an add on and all that sort of stuff. Now, what generally happens when we send a letter, let's say that this event is happening next to, your property. So you get a letter in the mail that says there's going to be a legislative public hearing. It gives you the date and where it is, and then there's a copy of the ad. And either at the top of the letter or at the bottom of the letter, it says, hey, this affects your property. You're not receiving this letter at random. You're receiving this letter because this is affecting your property. Okay, so when we put those in the mail, and the list is supposed to be, according to our UDO, collaborative. It is a matter of the person who has petitioned to make the change. That person generally gives us a list of who they feel are affected properties. As I spoke to the manager earlier this afternoon, frequently I include quite a few people who are not on that list, simply for the matter of I want coverage. A street separating my house on this side of the street and yours on this side of the street, you're still affected by what happens at my house. When those letters do go out, and we generally give it about 4 to 5 days, I can tell when people begin to receive them because my phone is blowing up. And it is people who typically call. They say they've never called our office before about anything, but I did receive this letter. And then I ask them what the subject line is on the letter. They tell me what it is. And then we have a one-on-one conversation. Both the letter and the telephone comment and our ads and our conversation with the planning board stress, you have additional questions, email them to us, call them in, come see us, all the above. So there is a great deal of transparency. This one particular item that we were recommending be stricken is not required by the general statutes. It's one extra step. Some communities do it, some communities don't. But in terms of, I guess, the bigger question, maybe we're gonna make your question 3 questions. If you go to the third question, which is what is the most effective method? Those letters, that ad, that presentation to the planning board, which by the way is published on our website as well, and is available to any interested member of the public.
So the first, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Please do.
The first list of requirements, the letters that are registered letter.
No, it's general mail. They used to have to be registered letters, but if you send one regularly, they're about $8. They run through our budget quickly.
You go through GIS for the rights.
Yes, because it goes to the legal owner of the property on January the 1st.
Okay, so let's talk about community meetings.
Yes.
So describe, I know that the staff is not necessarily assigned to communities.
Typically, staff does have the time, it's an opportunity for the developer to engage with the community, and by having staff present, it kind of interferes.
And that community meeting is, the revision is going to be separating out developers versus small area revisions.
The rationale for the recommendation that staff provided is that for general rezonings, where there's no conditions to work out or negotiations to discuss, there's going to be 2 public hearings, legally, the North Carolina statutes require those. So staff thought that that was ample time to address your public concern. For the record. I just wanted to clarify really quick that for conditional rezonings, we do still require a community.
Okay.
And I'm not advocating that.
Correct.
There's a distinction. And how long then do you provide warning? What's your advance?
For the
What's the
legal
time
ads,
at all?
it's
Say you mail out the letters today. How long do you wait then?
Under the general statutes, the assumption is that after 7 days, we haven't proceeded back, which if you all have dealt with the post office, that's not realistic. I've been getting back letters from December, but 7 days, you're considered essentially served. But I will say that this particular item, also acts as a additional month of waiting. Essentially, a process that takes about 90 days has suddenly become, I mean, these folks have to send a letter out 10 days before their actual meeting. They have to provide us with proof that they've mailed it. They have to give us a list of who's there, and they have to give us notes of the meeting, and that adds approximately months of process. So part of this had to do with a feeling that it just, the complaint is our process isn't fast. General statutes, it's about 90 days.
So you're following general North Carolina
No, absolutely.
statutes. However, you feel that as a planning department, you'd like to expedite it where you can.
Yes, the general statutes don't allow a lot of room for expeditious activities.
Well, just to clarify, you're saying that the public meeting or the neighborhood meeting for a general rezoning is not required by general statute.
So, yeah, absolutely is not. Or for the other kind of that.
Yeah, sure.
But I can see the value of the one for conditional. If I'm coming in and I'm going to take the ordinance, I'm going to modify it, then we're having two conversations. We're having what would normally be, but then under conditional zoning, what are the conditions that are changing?
Any other questions?
I have a question, but I do have a comment. I'm really not in favor of removing that pre-submittal meeting requirement for residential site plans, because I think that the public really needs to know what's going on as early as possible. And I'm not in favor of the other, where it said remove pre-submittal meeting requirement for minor subdivisions, or that about the, I think, that remove community meeting requirements for general use zone, rezone. I'm not in favor of the.
So removing the pre-submittal meeting for site plans, we were going to keep that for, but it's only removing it for residential. It's still there for commercial, so that's if somebody wants to build a single family house on their lot, it's making that process easier for them. It is still, staff is proposing that it's optional, so they can always have that if they want. The pre-submittal meeting is a meeting with, the necessary parties. Typically it's building inspections from the county, it's the fire marshal, it's planning staff. And a lot of times all of those people don't need to be in the same room for residential. And then the other one that you mentioned is the minor subdivision, and I would defer to the planning director for rationale on that one.
Yeah, it's 5 or less lots. Frequently minor subdivision, most particularly in the last period I've been here. Most of our minor subdivisions are a situation where you create 2 to 3 lots for an existing lot. Somebody has a extra large lot, they're making DTJ, they can divide out a lot from another house. Again, the difference here is mandatory versus voluntary. Certainly if someone wants to voluntarily go through a project with us, we're super eager to hear about it. The issue with mandatory is that, again, there's a rhythm, if you will. There's the pre-submittal meeting. The pre-submittal meeting happens after we've had some sort of conversation that is a scoping meeting that takes someone through the entire process. So we're scoping, then we're pre-submitting, then they're submitting, then we're going through the process of all these other things. It seemed like a lot for a process. Again, it's supposed to be short. If you're doing more than 5 lots, very obviously you want to do a major subdivision. We have a lot of people who have a lot of questions, and we want a lot of answers. 2 lots.
Real quick, you mentioned the public. So you're actually, these meetings aren't really public. This is where the applicant comes in and meets with staff. But if you're worried about public perception and public notification,
Yes.
those meetings don't have anything to do with the
But
public.
I think that's, thank you, but I still think that might be better for those developers themselves.
In a minor subdivision, the developer is frequently a homeowner or we're not just deciding who's going to divide something. So he's not a developer, he is simply a guy who wants to sell a lot.
But it's optional whether we want to have these meetings, is that?
We want to make it optional as opposed to mandatory.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it being optional, but I have a problem with it being removed altogether.
That's not.
And then I just want to clarify, the site plan, we changed the language so that it's still mandatory for commercial.
Right.
But the larger developers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As long as it's legal, you can do it, you want to, but if you don't want to, then that's not. That's what I was getting to. Thank you.
And then I believe your third comment was like back to the community meeting and staff, this our recommendation at the end of the day. To commissioners to decide what sort of community events.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and Mr. Tingle and I had a conversation about this and, spoken with others about it. I think that the retaining the requirement for the community meeting as a prerequisite to general use rezoning, will may or should be pointed out that it may actually, tend to have the developer's project improved. Or they may get advance notice that, oh, there is a lot of opposition to this particular general use rezoning. And that's going to be very helpful to them if it reaches, that news reaches them before they get to board for a public hearing, before they've spent lots of money in interacting with staff. As a general principle, I would very much like to have more interaction between developers and neighbors. And that's why in particular I picked out that one item. I thought through the rest of them and heard the pros and cons and remembered from prior conversations, but that one still sticks in my craw. So I'll stick with my motion that we remove, I think it is item number 12. We're continuing to delete the item which is.
I believe it's number 13.
Okay, 13, which is to remove the community meeting requirement for general use rezoning.
You said you were okay with that?
I'm gonna stick with my request that we pull it off of the list and not remove it from the requirements.
It's 42 in the presentation.
Oh, in the packet, it's 13. Sorry.
No, it's not, it's just bulletin.
Yeah.
That's right, you know, 12, sorry.
Going off of the draft resolution, it's 13.
In the motion, if you could just state that specific line item number.
I'll use words. Yeah,
Okay, thanks, sir.
I move.
Just a second. Is there any other discussion?
I have a couple questions. Regarding the signage on the illuminated tubing signage and all around the windows and doors, not with our businesses that are in town now, are they grandfathered that they will not have to follow this?
I believe that, lighting is temporary in nature. I don't believe it's permanent. Yes.
They would be grandfathered?
No, sir. I'm saying that it would not be because it is, generally that particular lighting is considered to be a temporary type as opposed to something that you hardwire into the. Now, if you have that hardwire in there, it's already there, then yes. And that's how it's installed.
Regarding the moving signs,
Yes.
would they be grandfathered or would they be, have to go by this UDO?
If you're talking about flags, pennants, and other flags, they would not be grandfathered because they are in our current ordinance treated as temporary in nature. And
Temporary forever.
well, I'm saying it's temporary until we go out to the ground.
And I think that's the key, is they're intended to be put out in a temporary basis.
Right.
Which would be 60 days in the case of a temporary sign.
One other thing,
Yes, sir.
very minor, if we go to 7 planning board members, at what time will that start? Will we take applications again?
Staff would ask that the board appoint somebody at the fiscal year, like July 1.
Okay, thank you.
Please bear in mind we have 2 alternates currently, so very close. Yeah.
Question, Chatham Mills, Chatham Market, Chatham Mills, is that M1? You know?
I can't say.
You don't have it memorized?
It's
You
actually,
don't have it memorized?
I think it is.
yes, I have not memorized the zoning.
I think it is. So in this amendment, you're reclassifying heavy manufacturing. Tell me about how would the property, that Chatham Mills sits on, M1, that be, allowed to have an asphalt plant built?
M1 is actually light manufacturing, M2 would be heavy manufacturing, which is where concrete production would be occurring. If you're putting concrete together in M1, you're probably violating an ordinance currently.
So, yeah, I'm looking at the table of industrial uses.
Yes.
Maybe I'm just reading it wrong, but it looks like they're crossing out under M1. We're limiting
PPP, which is a permitted use by right, and making it Z, which would be a conditional sign.
conditional, so we would have the power as a board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I don't want an asphalt.
And that would be the value, and that would have to be conditional, as that you can literally say.
And it is zoned in one.
Any other questions or comments? Take a motion to close the public hearing. Commissioner Vose, second.
Second.
Commissioner Foley. All those in favor? Aye. Pass unanimously.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the list of text amendments as presented by staff, with the exception of the item, quote, remove community meetings for general use rezonings. End quote.
Mayor Pro Tem, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Pass unanimously. Thank you. Up next, action item 2, contract authorization, find it, fix it, sewer rehabilitation construction. Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Foley, follow the questions.
Any questions? I was just looking over first of all, just looking over the amendments to the bidding process, and I see that we are not paying, you're not going to apply an FOG, which is a fat oil grease chemical application to the sewer.
Now, we are, the modification there is, that was one of the price drivers, the contractor's bid price. So we arranged to have the chemical, city of Sanford is going to provide us with the chemical for the contractor to add to the system in the areas that are needed.
But that's 2 years down the road, right? Stepping up.
So, I mean, of course, the project will move forward, as quickly as, the approvals are made, and then we anticipate this construction starting in May, June timeframe.
Okay. And I know that we talked about, before the meeting started regarding, sewer upgrades we did 10 years ago. Can you assure me that we're not upgrading the upgrades?
Yeah, so the focus area for this project is a different part of the basin. Right. This is focused on what I would call the lower Robinson Creek sewer shed. The earlier work was in what's kind of in the central part of that same sewer shed. Around Cradle Street, Salisbury, Hillsborough.
The last question I have is regarding using minority-based contract. What is the town's process right now? And how are we soliciting minority-based contract?
So I'll answer in the case of this particular contract. This particular contract, we received a ARPA grant award through NC Department of Environmental Quality. When we accepted that grant, we accepted the requirement to have a minority business participation goal in the construction contract. I've confirmed that goal was 10% for this particular contract. And so the contract was advertised with that goal as part of, so for the contractor to be responsive, they had to include how they were achieving the minority participation for this particular contract.
And we're going to be voting on awarding this contract to this contract. Have they supplied any information about minority-based subcontractors?
They provided it with their bid. I don't have that in front of me this evening, but they did provide. There's a federal participation form that has to be submitted with the bid in order for it to be considered responsive. That documents the contractors that they were using, and or demonstrate the contractors that they contacted that were not able to participate and reasons why.
That's a federal requirement.
Yes.
Does the town currently have a minority-based contracting agreement?
I might turn
We have a policy on that.
I might turn to the town attorney to help me answer that question. That we're working with state and federal grants where those requirements are mandated, so to speak, in order to accept the funds. So I'm not altogether sure what written policy the town may have for just participation in our own funding project.
It's a goal, it's not a requirement.
It's a goal, all right. So, a goal is something that we can ignore at times. But I gotta say that we have an issue, in my opinion, that I don't see any government contracts, like state or local, that are minority based. And I just ask respectfully the staff to keep that in mind. That you are addressing, or come up with some type of strategy that we can address the people that we can address our constituents that aren't necessarily represented. So
I can comment as a recent example. We constructed last year sidewalk on Chatham Business Drive. The contractor for that contract, the prime contractor, met the qualifications for a minority contractor, and they performed 100%. Now that was not so much town mandated or directed, but I do remember that was the case, and it was at least in part because of having that goal, as a requirement for accepting the grant.
No pressure. I'm only just making some comments. I know that we are an inclusive community. I just want to make sure that is part of who we are as a council. What we can do in the future.
And I can assure you, for example, the community house far exceeded the 10% requirement for state law. The state law is pretty specific in what level of project requires what percentage, and then when that's triggered. And then it's really complicated between 300 and 500,000 We follow that. We follow that.
Okay, so we follow state regs for.
Yes, yes, to a T.
Contract.
Yes.
And I can say, I have been involved in a contract in the past where a contractor that was the low bidder was not awarded the contract because they did not meet the good faith effort based on a review by the grantor, which in that case was the State Department of Transportation.
Okay. I just throwing it out, I want to make sure that the staff understands that minority business is important to the staff. It strengthens us. So, thanks.
Any other questions about this contract?
I have any questions, but thank you for bringing that up. It's very, thank you for taking that, because that is very important. As you say, we are a channel of quality. Thank you for bringing that.
I'll take a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Commissioner Foley, second. Commissioner Post, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's the end of the agenda. I'll take a motion to.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Okay. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Thank you.